Enter the realm of KSBM Radio's creation. Student-led from inception to narration. Crafting content from dawn until dusk. All students involved in the work and the fuss. In the heart of Townview where voices reside. Student-led discussions where ideas collide. From interviews with leaders, peers, and businesses. Just watch us work creating innovative content. Every aspect managed with student finesse. From podcast production to social media press. No task too daunting, no challenge too grand. KSBM Radio, we taking a stand. KSBM Radio, students leading the way. Every task idea, we seize the day. Witness now as all of our efforts break through. KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
Come closer to the music.
Broadcasting live from Marvin E. Robinson School of Business and Management, Dallas, Texas.
My radio station.
We are KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview. I'm Amethyst, joined by my co-hosts,
Bruce. Juan.
Jade.
And today we're continuing our SBM 50 and TMC 30 alumni series, where we highlight the powerful stories of Townview graduates who continue to make a difference in their communities and beyond. Our guest today is Ms. Jeanette Sanchez, a proud graduate of the School of Business and Management, class of 1998. During her time at Townview, she was focused on accounting as her career path. Since graduating, she's built a meaningful career as an office manager with Dallas ISD, where she works every day to support students and teachers behind the scenes. Her story is especially close to home. Not only is she an alum, but so are both of her sisters, and now her niece is continuing the legacy as a current senior here at Townview. Ms. Sanchez, welcome back. We're so excited to have you here. Is there anything you'd like to share?
No, I don't think so.
Let's get started with our first question.
Awesome. So if we could just start things off, could you tell us where you grew up and what led you to choose Townview and the School of Business in particular?
Yes, so I grew up in Pleasant Grove, and I was a middle school student at John B. Hood. And when I went to Hood, I was introduced to magnet schools back then. And it was kind of exciting to see that there was a school. Back then, I really wanted to be a real estate agent, so I figured I needed some type of business administration. And so BMC was introduced to me back then, and I said, this is going to be perfect for me to kind of kickstart that. Mm-hmm. And so that was one of the major selling points for me. And that's why I chose BMC.
So what do you remember most about the early days of being a student at Townview?
So the very first year I was actually a sophomore is when Townview opened up, and it was the very first year that we moved to this campus. And it was exciting because it was brand new. We got a brand new campus, brand new toilets, brand new sinks, brand new seats, everything. So it was kind of exciting to kind of be in a school where you had other entities that offered a variety of other things to learn. And you kind of could, come together. Being from a Hispanic family, I wasn't allowed to kind of go over people's homes, kind of, go out to the movies or anything like that. So kind of having a different experience outside of just what I knew was exciting. So the very first year when I was a freshman, we were actually downtown, and then they opened up here. So it was exciting to have a whole new slew of friends.
So can you tell us about your involvement in extracurriculars such as BPA, DECA, and National Honor Society?
Yes. So my parents, again, were, they were immigrants from Mexico. So all they knew was you had to learn and go to school and do things to better yourself and not be like them with no education. So it didn't matter what it was. My mom wanted me to do it. So school offered things like BPA, DECA, where we got to go. And that was, for me, very exciting to be able to go to competition, not be at home on the weekend, kind of learn and explore and grow to different things that I wasn't accustomed to. So very much one time we got to go to Houston for competition. I remember we were all on a bus and we were at the Galleria having lunch. And I didn't get to do that kind of stuff with my parents, because it was always work and, there was never any money for that and stuff like that. So it was very exciting to kind of just do something outside of my normal.
How did, you said that it helped you kind of branch out of your comfort zone, BPA, DEC, and all of your extracurriculars. How exactly did that help you in the future?
So that has kind of helped me where I am not shy to introduce myself to someone. I'm not shy to kind of, say hello, how are you? A lot of times now you have, I see a lot of where people are just, they don't have the courage to be able to speak up and stuff like that. So it made me like, if I wasn't going to say anything, I was going to be the alone person on the back of the bus, right? So I had to kind of just go out there, introduce myself, be friends with people, and just learn outside of again, what I always knew. I had 2 sisters. So, it was nice to have friends that were boys because, again, in Hispanic culture, you're not allowed to have boys that are friends, right? So it was just fun to be like, no, Mom, he's my friend from this and he's my friend from that. And we do competitions together and we do this. So it was something that it was allowed. And I was like, oh, okay, so I can have friends as long as I'm in, So it was just fun, too, to be able to learn and then grow.
So was there any teachers at your time at Townview that really had a lasting impact on you?
Okay, so don't laugh. No, I'm sorry for interrupting you early. Don't laugh, but I remember all of my teachers, but one teacher that stood out to me is like Miss Canan. She was my Spanish teacher, and she took it upon herself to hold me to a higher expectation. I think when I had Miss Canan, I was already an upperclassman, and so Spanish was offered maybe to like lower classmen. So I was like kind of the oldest in the classroom. So she held me to a higher expectation. So it's like she wanted me to help everyone. And I don't know if you guys have ever taken Spanish, but Spanish at home and Spanish in school is 2 completely different Spanishes, right? So I was like, wait a minute, conjunction and this. And so I was also learning, but at the same time, I didn't want to let Miss Canan down. So I was, trying to make sure that I knew what I was saying and what I was encouraging the other students to learn, because I didn't want to teach anything that was incorrect and then have her like think that I wasn't who she expected me, like to know the Spanish that she expected me to know.
Mm-hmm. So after high school, what was like something that shocked you?
When I was here and I started learning accounting and accounting classes, that was exciting to me because, everybody's like, accounting will make you money. You can make good money. I kind of forgot about the whole real estate portion of what I thought I wanted. And so I actually went to college at Northwood University for accounting. And when I got there and I saw that the accounting classes were like different than, what had been given to me here, I was like, wait a minute, is this really what I want? So I think I was there for probably less than a year when I just discovered I didn't think that was for me. And I struggled really hard with telling my parents, this isn't what I want to do, because my mom had already told all my tias, all her friends, all her families, she's in college, she's going to do this, she's going to do that. So I kind of didn't want to let them down, but at the same time, I could feel that it wasn't something that I was passionate about. And I think that I became a very passionate person. So if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And if I don't, I won't. And that's just how it was. So coming to the realization that accounting was not what I actually thought it was a little hard. And I think that if I had had the courage to do it sooner, I probably wouldn't have been there like a whole semester,
So can you tell us about how you navigated when changing your mind after accounting?
So after I did that, I waited a little bit because I said, what do I want to do, right? I first thought I really wanted to sell houses. And I think I wanted to sell houses because I liked seeing floor plans and seeing, pretty houses and what they look like on the inside and stuff like that. So it took me a couple years to kind of really discover what I wanted, but I kind of figured I wanted to help people just kind of the same way that I was helped in the whole process of trying to leave school, right? I think at first I started just, how when you don't want to do something, you start rebelling and everything is, you don't want to do that. So before I left school, I struggled a little bit with it because I didn't want to do it. And so I didn't care if I failed, if I finished homework and stuff like that. So I had a couple counselors in college that were trying to help me. And so that kind of put me into a different perspective. Once I was done with college, my mom said, okay, well, if you're not going to go to school, you're going to work. So I had to work. So I was kind of struggling with what do I want to do for the rest of my life? And you have to work. So I just kind of bounced around from job to job. It wasn't until I think I was 25 where I started with a tax consulting firm, which wasn't specifically numbers related because it wasn't accounting stuff, but I was put into kind of like a senior role starting off the bat, and I was there for 10 years. So I kind of grew into kind of managing a team and kind of helping, training young ones, like other coworkers that, you know, came in and stuff. So it kind of just helped me in that sense, to where I knew that I wanted to be a professional.
How did that experience kind of like shift you more into administration work?
So I was let go from that company because they finished the program that they were running. I was unemployed for a little bit. Once I was unemployed, I went back to school to get my aesthetics license. So I'm a licensed esthetician, and that just means like a skincare specialist. And that was just something I've always loved makeup and stuff. So that was kind of where I said, well, if they're letting me go do something else, right? So I went to go do that. And it wasn't until I was at the cosmetology school where I was offered the opportunity to come back and work for them. So once I came back to work for them, I started as kind of like a receptionist, and then I moved over into financial aid. They saw, you know, that I was always eager to help and always eager to do stuff, and I wasn't the type of person to say that, no, that's not my job duty, and so I just did it. I took initiative, motivation, and just did things even when not asked. So I was a financial aid person. I helped students who were wanting to come to the school to get their financial aid to be able to come. So helping them kind of helped, you know, it made me excited because I had already done the schooling, the journey, and got my license, and I wanted to help other young students who were doing the same thing, who wanted to do the same thing. Even though it was kind of virtual, like meeting with them, they would be able to kind of tell me their wishes and journeys and stuff like that. Once I did that, I actually became like a school counselor for them. So I managed all the students' attendance, grades, getting their license, getting them tested and all that stuff. But it wasn't until all that involved admin work, right? Because you have to manage attendance, grades and stuff like that. And you have to know how to work Excel. You have to know how to work, you know, typing up an email, typing up something that's professional. So all that kind of entailed all of that.
So what were some things that surprised you in your early like workforce days?
I don't think I was very surprised by much. My mom was a housekeeper growing up, so I knew she kind of taught me her work ethic. So I knew that you had to be on time. If you were early, you were on time, right? If you're on time, you're late. So she kind of taught me that. She kind of taught me, you know, being to work every day. Again, taking the motivation, initiative to just get things done, even though it's not part of your duty or something, because at the end, people will recognize that and they'll always be willing to, oh, you know, we need someone to take this higher leading role, and they're going to think of you because they know that you're doing that. So it wasn't, I don't think I had very many surprises. I think pretty much maybe just like pay rates and stuff like that, you know, but I think that was kind of the only really surprising thing.
What do you enjoy most about your work?
Currently? I think currently just being the person, you know, I arrive to school every day, and while I'm kind of behind the scenes, right, because nobody thinks of the office manager, but we're the person that makes sure that, you know, there's someone to cover the class if the teacher's not there. You know, we want to make sure that the teachers have what they need resource-wise to be able to teach their class, to be able to, you know, pour it into their kids, because the teacher doesn't have a set of pencils. Kids can't, you know. So it's just like being the person that's silently kind of making things work. No one has to recognize that, but it's just myself knowing that, you know, I'm the one that's kind of behind that.
So can you walk us through what a day in your life looks like as an office manager?
Yes, so every day, again, is just arriving to school, kind of taking a look at what the day is kind of going to look like. You know, I'm sure you guys have lots of functions here and, you know, assemblies and kind of that, logistics, making sure teachers get paid, office staff gets paid, fun things like, you know, if it's Hispanic Heritage Month, then we want lunch, you know, kind of coming up with a theme and kind of just whatever the school needs. If it's hot in the school, trying to figure out and put a work order in, making sure that everybody's comfortable. And it's just really running around all day and not holding any expectations. And that's what I try to remember. Don't have any expectations for the day, because I can make a to-do list and sometimes only get 5 of those things done because 5 other things came up.
Can you share with us a moment where you felt like especially proud in your job?
I think, honestly, I think I'm proud every day in a way, just because for me, I'm happy going to work every day. It's not work when you do kind of things that you enjoy. A lot of people go to work every day and don't want to be there, have a frown on their face. And I think just being able to be there and enjoying what I do is, I think, already a win for me, and I think for everybody else, because I try to make sure I say good morning to everyone. And for me, what I hold myself to is saying good morning and then their name, right? Because then they know that I'm actually stopping what I'm doing, even though I'm answering the door and I'm on the phone, and I'm able to say good morning, whatever their name is, and then just kind of going from there.
So what is something that some people might not realize that you do in your role that makes a real difference for student and staff?
I think everyone knows, kind of like what I do. Everyone always just says, you do so much, and no one ever says thank you. And it kind of like, I've been there for so long that I kind of already realized that, kind of in a way. Do a lot of people like stop and thank the custodian, for instance, right? Nobody thinks about all the things that a custodian would have to do, making sure there's toilet paper in the restroom, right? But you don't think about those things until you go into a restroom and there's no toilet paper in there. So I think just the little things when someone comes up to me and says, thank you for dinner yesterday, it was really good, or the presentation was nice, or anything like that. I take those and I really appreciate those, because half the time the teachers are also scrambling and trying to make sure that their lessons plans are correct, that they have what they need, that their mindset, that they're not bringing anything that may be personal going on at home to the classroom, or trying to make sure that they focus on the one student who's struggling, or trying to make sure that they're able to teach everyone in the way that they're able to learn.
How would you say the School of Business prepared you for your job right now?
I think it prepared me wholeheartedly. Like I learned to type at John B. Hood with a typewriter, with the folder over our fingers, right? And when I got here, we actually had computers, and because over at John B. Hood, it's Piedmont now, but we had typewriters, so it was kind of a big difference. We had Mac here, so it was like, oh my goodness, we have Mac computers. I had never seen or got to even log into one and stuff like that, right? So I learned Excel, I learned Microsoft Word, pretty much everything that was on the computer I learned. So it's like now a lot of times while people know how to turn on a computer, they don't know how to put a formula in, right? So when you have to do attendance, or when you're trying to make a spreadsheet, or when you're trying to make a master schedule on a Google, the sheets, and you can put in that formula, simple as just an addition or subtraction or multiplication into that formula to give you what you need. A lot of people don't know how to do that, so that's something that I've always been able to do. While I was here, my mom, she didn't know much, but if I got a 95 in reading and I got a 94 the next time, she's like, what happened? What that was a decrease in my grade. So I had to make sure that every time I was doing what I needed to do in class to be able to bring home that 98 and make sure that if that's what it was, that it stayed that way the whole year. Because if not, my parents are going to say something, right? My mom bought me a lot of books, so I was always reading. I was always doing something. People don't realize that when you read, you grow your vocabulary. You learn how to read by context clues. You learn how to understand what's in the book, and you learn how to actively hold conversations with people. So I think all of that combined was perfect for me to be able to do what I do now.
You just keep learning when you're
Right.
reading. Yeah. My mom's the exact same way.
Yeah.
If you bring anything lower than what you have right now,
Yeah, it was just like, what happened with Casistas? And I'm like, I don't know, and so I would have to go back. And it was a struggle because I had friends that were like, let's skip class. And I was like, no, I can't do that
Yeah.
because they're going to call my house and they're going to leave a voicemail and, my on the answering machine and, my parents are they're going to hear it. I was like, I can't do that. So it's like a struggle being, a cool kid to my friends and then holding the expectations that I had at home.
Yeah, those expectations are always really hard for us.
So with that being said, where do you kind of see yourself in 10 years from now, 5 to 10 years?
I think I'm hoping to stay with the district, right? I do enjoy my work with the district. I always say that I like the campus because it's fast paced, and I think I would miss the students and the teachers. But, sometimes you have to grow outside of your comfort once you get to a point. So I don't know, maybe somewhere with, the administration building, kind of maybe a different role. There's so many different departments within the district that you could pretty much go anywhere.
How would you like to give back to your community?
Well, I currently, what I do currently is I go to church. So I go to church and I try to do what I can there, helping in the kitchen and stuff like that. I have 4 nieces and a nephew. So my oldest niece, she's a graduate of Woodrow. The 2 oldest are graduates of Woodrow IB. And then my niece that's here. And then I have a younger niece over at Gilliam. So whenever they have any projects that they're doing, that they're learning for, you kind of have to do community hours and stuff like that, I try to help with those. I've gone to give back at the North Texas Food Bank. I love the Salvation Army. I've always been a fan of that. I had an old coworker who was very much into giving for that. So we did the Angel Tree every year. So anything that I can do to help, I'm always, I love doing that.
So what advice would you give to current Townview students while they're still trying to figure out what they want to do in the future?
I think be patient with yourself, right? Like you said, you have expectations at home too, and sometimes we can allow those kind of into our head, into making sure that you make your parents proud, do what, they expect of you. If they have a certain career path that they want you to go to, you kind of put yourself into that and say, yeah, I think I could do that. But you have to just really be patient with yourself. I told my nieces all the time, go explore, go to college, travel. If you have an opportunity to go to school abroad, go to school abroad. Don't be scared of what could happen because it hasn't happened, right? So you just want to go do and just kind of live in the moment and always do whatever it is that your heart wants with limitations, right? You want to make good choices.
Do you have any advice for any students that are unsure about their career path?
I think just don't be patient. Don't force yourself to make a choice just because your parents have a timeline. If you are a senior and you haven't found the perfect school for you, I don't think that you should pick one just because time's running out, right? You could always graduate from school. You could always go to community college, take your basics, right? All your core kind of classes, and then take that time to kind of figure out what you want to do next. And then even if it takes you 6 months or even up to a year, you've already taken all the core classes. So when you finally decide or you finally find that perfect school, you're like, you know what? This is what I really want to do. You can get there and you're probably already advanced because you've already taken some math classes or you've already taken the English classes you need. And then you can start your actual journey. And there's no shame or nothing in that. I think it would be much worse if you were at home playing video games.
Yeah. Going kind of off topic, who is someone that you would like to thank that you haven't thanked before?
I don't know that I have anyone that I haven't thanked before. I'm the type of person that I live every day in that moment just because I had a very traumatic thing happen to me a very long time ago and I thought that I wasn't going to live to the next day. So I'm the type of person that I live in that moment. If I tell my mother, my parents every day that I love them. I talk to my sisters every day. So if I feel something, I'm pretty vocal about it just because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So, I've always thanked my parents. I thanked my parents for being the strict parents that they were because I also could have went a whole different, I could have went left or something and went completely off grid and stuff. So I think that I did a good, I took a good journey, and I don't think that anything that I've done is anything bad because it got me to where I am right here today.
So now we're going to ask our signature question, which is, if you could go back and give your high school self advice, what would you tell her?
That's so funny. I think I would tell myself to stop wearing my polo boots. I wanted to wear my polo boots every single day. I don't know if y'all know what polo boots are, even if they're still popular, but I still have them in my closet. I wanted to wear those things every day. My parents, they never, that was a purchase that was outside of the normal, right? Because polo boots are expensive. So I begged my parents so much for some polo boots because everyone had them. I begged them one time for quesos. I don't know if y'all know what quesos are. They're the white shoes. I literally had to beg for months, and by the time my mom was able to purchase them, they were no longer popular. I think you guys did a great job with the question.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Sanchez, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today. From your time at SBM to your role at helping your community thrive, your story reminds us that success is not always about being seen. It is about showing up, solving problems, and supporting others every single day. Your dedication and your family's legacy here at Townview is truly inspiring. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on our BMC 50 and TMC 30 Alumni Series. These conversations show us how Townview continues to shape leaders, problem solvers, and role models. Be sure to follow us on every social media platform for more videos to come. This has been KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview. Stay awesome.
Thank you for listening to KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
My radio station.
We hope you enjoyed the great content and great discussion, all from a student's perspective. Make sure to follow us on Twitter for the latest updates at KSBM_TVT or on Facebook at KSBM Radio.
Add them on Facebook.
Check them on Facebook.
Take care.